How we doing? Generate Talent here to run down my top 5 tight ends for 2026. New season. Super Bowl just wrapped up last night. Seahawks champs, whatever. We're moving to our new 2026 Dynasty Fantasy season. New year. Chinese New Year, about 8 days away. New things to think about, right? Players getting a year older. Some of you got rookie picks. I can't say I do. Not too many. But I did come off 2 chips. Some of our owners in our leagues are checked out, off to see the wizard, waiting for maybe March free agency, the rookie draft, the NFL draft. But the thing is, when you check out, even for a month, it doesn't seem like much. This offers jewels being like kind of tied in. I'll mention a couple days ago, I was laying in bed. It was 7 a.m. Got the notice. I think Ari dropped it that Derek Carr might consider coming back for any kind of organization that he feels is a strength. So what I had to do, had to pick up Derek Carr in all my leagues. There was one copycat that picked him up in one of my leagues to kind of block me there. But everywhere else I picked him up, and in my leagues I'm real quarterback deficient. I have Patrick Mahomes, and then it's really a bunch of Rodgers and big question mark. So if Derek Carr comes through, that'd be great. Rivers was on my championship roster. So these type of plays, while Derek Carr might not amount to anything the rest of the way, last year, just being the closest to the information and paying attention got me Darren Waller in a majority of my leagues. And it doesn't sound like much, but he won me a couple weeks just with the high volume, touchdowns, all that alone. So while he wasn't there in the fantasy championship for me, he helped me get there for sure. Big time contributor. I hope he signs with the team as well. But the point being, don't check out, because when you check out, you could lose out on a big time player that helps you make the run. First thing I want to talk about when we're talking about tight ends, most of their tight end fantasy performance, when we're talking about age, comes within the years of 25 and 31. So something to think about. Some of those tight ends that we're super excited about, right? Harold Fannin Jr., he's 21 years old. Colston Loveland, around 23. So when we're thinking about these type of players, a couple different ways to look at it. You know, their peak fantasy performance is probably in a couple years, right? So we can look at it like they're going to hit a sophomore wall like Laporta and Pitts did, or it takes some time to figure out the system. Some of these tight ends, like Ben Sinnott comes to mind for me. He was highly regarded, and it's taken a couple years, and he's still trying to figure it out. It wasn't all the time where a tight end comes in rookie year and figures out the system and everything works. We have new coaches coming in the majority of the systems. Just something to think about. It's not going to be just run it back. This tight end is going to be right back in the top 5, like no problem. Okay, they have to fit the system. And I'm going to lean on this chart a little bit. 25 to 31 is kind of the target age I'm hoping for outside of a few players, which we'll get into. So I'm going to drop that chart. I'm going to put my 5 on screen. Coming in at number 5. Before we do so, let's look at Keep Trade Cut. Here are the top 11 in their rankings. They have Trey McBride at the top. I would have Bowers, but I mean, it's not a huge discrepancy there. But you are leaving 3 years on the table. From 26 to 23, I'd much rather have Bowers and buy at least 4 or 5 draft positions too. So, you know, that's me. You also have Warren, Loveland, the guys you expect to be in there. But I mean, with Tucker Kraft coming off ACL, Sam Laporta coming off back injuries, Kittle coming off an ACL, there are a lot of guys in there that I'm not really willing to take the risk on, depending on what your team looks like. If you have a couple years, you know, you're playing it differently. But where I'm at right now, I'm in a competing window in a majority of my leagues. And that's not sitting here to brag, because there are going to be some dark years ahead if I don't navigate this right. So that was kind of the top 11. Now I'm going to get into my 5 here. Let me get that top 5 up on screen. And coming in at number 5, we have Dalton Kincaid, who's 26 years old. So right in that window of 25 to 31. Here's some cool stats on Dalton Kincaid to kind of get you excited. First one, this is crazy. Dalton Kincaid missed 5 games this year. Keep in mind when you're reading this. Dalton Kincaid was 3rd in NFL in yards per route run this season. He trailed only JSN and Puka. Those are wide receivers. This is a tight end. If you're in a tight end premium like me, where you're getting 2 points a catch as opposed to 1, this is huge. If he could play, even close to a full season. If he's healthy, the second half of the year, he's helping that playoff push immensely. Something else that comes up right here, this was 2025 as well, really ahead of the curve here. You know, he's over 2.5 yards per route run. No one even touches 2.5. George Kittle's the closest at about 2.2. And that's minimum 50 targets. So when we're talking about Kincaid, maybe it's not someone that's mentioned a whole lot. He's now entering, you know, those ages that those young teams are starting to say, he's getting old on me. But remember, it takes some time. Most of these tight ends, it was never the way where you learn it the first year and just build on it every year. There's a little learning curve, new coaching staffs. So I would be banking on Dalton Kincaid. But when we're talking about Kincaid, I do have a strategy when trying to get him. I've been trying to get him in some of my leagues. But one thing I've been thinking about now is Buffalo's going to get a number 1 wide receiver. And when Buffalo gets that number 1 wide receiver, people are going to get a little more bearish on Kincaid. So this is going to be the opportunity. You wait for them to sign an AJ Brown or their big time player that, you know, we think is going to get the target share and be the target hog. And I just don't see that as like affecting Kincaid. It might help in turn. So try and use that. Hey, this is hypothetical, but hey, the Bills just signed AJ Brown, so Kincaid's getting less targets, and maybe you get a cheaper price. You kind of play it up, you know. So that's where I'm at with number 5. Number 4, my favorite tight end. If you don't know by now, I'm rocking the jersey, all that stuff. But we're gonna get a new free agency location, hopefully for Pitts. We're hoping he can dodge the franchise tag now with James Pierce getting in trouble with the law. They probably have to get another defensive end with some money. So hopefully this allows Pitts to skate to somewhere that's going to benefit his strengths, because half the season Atlanta had him pretty much playing left tackle, blocking the whole time and then splitting out after. And by that point, Penix or Cousins was buried. So they figured it out in the second half of the season. That's Zach Robinson that figured it out. And he's in Tampa now, where Pitts actually plays his biggest games. So I think that'd be a great landing spot. But when we're talking about Pitts, we're talking about the first tight end that was labeled a generational talent out of school. He was drafted at number 4 ahead of Jamar Chase. He's 6'6". He runs a 4.40. So that's like Michael Jordan out there running a 4.40 over the center. Like, who would you rather have, my guy? Like, this is him, if you ask me. Let me put this graphic on here too. McBride at 25.8. So McBride's about a year older than Pitts, but you see the first downs per route run, the yards per route run, they're very similar. Pitts ran about 150 less routes, just simply being not the best blocker on the team. And that kind of played to his detriment and what the Falcons wanted to do. But if Pitts goes to a system where it's spread and he can just pretty much play the slot, like, he can be out there for 600 routes like he probably should have. And the Falcons found out late. So we're hoping no Falcons landing spot, and this could even be more bullish at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have Tyler Warren from the Indianapolis Colts. When the Colts offense was humming, when they were 9-1 or whatever they were, Warren was great. He was taking the tush push. He was getting those extra points that other tight ends didn't have. When that offense is on fire, it looked really good. And they plan on signing Daniel Jones back, from what I heard, giving him a long term. So we can get back to that point where it was last year. Tyler Warren's just going to eat. And I think he is debatable at 3. You know, I'm kind of flipping back and forth with him and Pitts. But just with the extra year of age, I'm going to take Tyler Warren in the 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, we got Trey McBride. Obviously dominated 2025 with pretty much every category. He is the number 1 option in Arizona, but I just think there's some digression coming here, and that's not knocking his talent. He's talented for sure. You got Marvin Harrison, who has to take a step up. Not even if it's not a dramatic step, he's got to take a step up. No more getting like tonsillitis or whatever it was, where he would just bow out and miss games for no reason. Michael Wilson showed he needs more of a target share. Brissett is not going to be throwing 40 plus times a game every game this year. And if that's the case, there's big problems. Heads are going to be rolling in Arizona. And it looks like they might stick with Brissett. We'll have to see. But I just think, you know, they had no running game last year. Benson's back. Connor's back. Actually, I think Connor's a free agent. But Benson is their 23-year-old that was drafted in the same draft as Jonathan Brooks, who we'll talk about later as well. I just think Arizona's offense is going to spread the ball out a little more. Got some big time options they didn't really lean on until late. McBride's going to be great, but not as great as this number 1 player here. And you already know who we're talking about. That's Brock Bowers at 23 years of age, the other tight end that was named a generational talent. And they hit that one right on the head. This guy looks great. He was injured last year when he was on the field. I mean, he's got one handing it in the corner of the end zone like a receiver. Just a very talented player. And with youth on his size and probably Fernando Mendoza coming at quarterback, probably get a number 1 receiver for the Raiders. It'll be interesting to see where they go. I still don't think he'll be the number 1 option. So maybe something like a banged up Tyreek Hill or something like that to take some targets away, to open Bowers up, to kind of take the pop off the defense so he can be over the middle. But we'll see. This is my top 5 tight ends. Where I'm at, I got Kincaid at 5, Pitts at 4, Warren at 3, McBride at 2, and Bowers is the top dog. So something to look for when we're shopping this offseason. Catch Pitts now before free agency. On Kincaid, wait until the Bills land a big-time receiver. The other 3, it's going to be tough to get. Like I have no McBride shares, and I just know I can never afford a McBride share. It's just with no real room for progression. It's kind of a dead point to me. I'll let that McBride owner rock. I have a couple Bowers, thank goodness. I actually had a trade in my major $1,000 league where I traded JSN for Bowers and a package and stuff like that. So I have a couple Bowers, thank goodness, because in tight end premium, he's just the dog. He's 1.1 to me. And a couple shares of Warren. But I hope you guys are stacking up on these players. If I'm in the case where I have 1 or 2 Loveland shares, I'm trying to move it for Warren, get a little piece back too. You never know with those pieces because in my leagues, I'm looking to get just little running back pieces because you never know who takes over. Like, for example, in Cleveland, Dylan Sampson wasn't that impressive. I have Raheem Sanders as well, but I've been trying to get Dylan Sampson because Quinshon Judkins is coming off a rough injury. And if Dylan Sampson can give me 8 to 10 weeks where he's the majority ball carrier, that's very valuable with bye weeks and all that. So on those extra toss ends, when you think Warren's going to be a better player than Loveland anyway, get those toss ends. Always get the best player in the trade. That's where I'm at. But we'll meet again. We'll see you soon. This is our top 5 tight ends. Generate talent. Get your pits. Kincaid, Warren, McBride, and Bowers, and run it from the tight end fantasy position. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.